Hello everyone. Okay, so I'm married. It's mad. I'm so excited. I am going to be doing a Q&A video, kind of going through the wedding, both general related questions and also maybe some recovery wedding related questions. So if you have got any questions for that video, I'll probably do it as the next one. Please leave them in the comment section below. For today though, I'm just gonna pop on quite quickly. I'm sort of between coachees today, having a really good day, lots of fab sessions, great work being done. I really do love that I get to support people in their journeys. I just love it. Just love it. But what I wanted to come on and talk to you about today was a concept that I think is a really important one to bear in mind in recovery. And it's a very simple thing, but it links to two things you have to practice in recovery. One, being more aware of the different shades of hunger. And two, pushing through physical fullness and also very much through eating disorder perceived fullness, or full stop eating is another thing that I would call it. So what I want you to imagine, and it's very rudimentary, but for the context of this video, if hunger and fullness is on a scale from 0 to 10. So hungry over here and full. So this is hungry, 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 really, really full. 0 to 10. Now, normal energy balance state, you'd go around most of your life somewhere between kind of 4 and 8 or 9. Somewhere around there. When you're hungry, it's just those first initial stages of hunger. You're like, a bit peckish. When's lunch? Like, that's the hunger that you learn to listen to and that you just live by. And when you are sat eating a meal, actually, you get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm satisfied. I had enough. And you just naturally and organically start focusing on different things. And that's that nice place to be. Now, when you go into an energy deprived state, what happens is that range, from that big fuel gauge, that range shifts to over here. So what I mean by that is, because you are in, or because your body perceives you to be in, more importantly, in the context of eating disorders, an energy deprived, food scarce environment, what happens is your body naturally shifts those interoceptive gauges over to the left. So your hunger becomes a 0/1. And what I mean by that is that you start to associate hunger as real, intense hunger. Like, it's that bit where most people would be wandering around being like, oh my goodness, I cannot even fathom how I'm going to do another step without eating. That becomes your body's kind of, yep, we need more food. We need it now, but we need more food. And full becomes kind of maybe 5, maybe 6. It's that kind of, yep, no, okay, full stop, we're done, now we can carry on, and this will get us to the next meal. So it's that eating that takes you from A to B and from B to C, and it's that food scarce approach, which is you eat just enough to get from A to B and from B to C and then C to D and then to go to sleep, and you do it again. And that's a big, big part of why living in an energy deprived state, living in an eating disorder, feels like a conveyor belt existence, because you're not eating to thrive, you're eating to survive. And that is a very, very different thing. Very different. So the reason why I think this is important in recovery is for the two reasons I said earlier. One, you have to learn in recovery to start paying attention to the wider spectrum of hunger signals than those which you've become accustomed to paying attention to. So that feeling that you associate with as, right, okay, I need to eat, I'm ready to eat, I'm hungry, you need to start zooming out and paying attention to all the various different ways that hunger presents around before that. So a huge one of those is going to be that mental hunger. Now, I've done a video recently delving into mental hunger in quite a considerable way. So I will link that below. Check that out for a variety of different ways in which mental hunger can present. But you have to start listening to those more subtle cues, those more subtle indicators that you are hungry. And that is so important in recovery. And the truth is when you start doing this, I get this message a lot, which is, well, if I was to eat every time I thought about food, I'd be eating all the time. Yeah. And the reality is that if you have a restrictive eating disorder, if you restrict food, if you're in an energy deprived state, and the reality is that actually when you do start to zoom out and pay attention to the other ways in which hunger is showing up, the different shades of hunger and how that presents, and you think, oh my goodness, wait, if that's hunger, I'm hungry all the time, thinking about food all the time. That's not a sign that anything's broken. It's not a sign that your body's got some kind of malicious plan against you, or that you're some kind of unicorn that's addicted to food. It's quite simply a sign that your body is really hungry and it needs you to do a lot of eating. That's what that is. It's a sign that your body is existing between 0 and 5, which is, let's remember, if we're very rudimentarily, I don't think that's a word, but you know what I mean, putting this on a scale of 0 is hungry and 10 is full. If you're living your life in 0 to 5, you're actually always on the hungry side of the scale. So of course, when you zoom out, you're going to be hungry all the time because your body's really hungry. It's in an energy debt. And actually, when you're in an energy debt, not only does your body want you to get to 10, it wants you to get to 12 because it's got debt to repay. It's got healing to do. It's got reserves to replenish. It's got a lot of work that it needs to do to be able to get you back to that healed, restored and repaired place. So that is one of the things that's really important about this in the context of recovery. And the second one relates to the other end of that shifted spectrum. And that is where when you are in an energy deprived state, your full becomes the equivalent of that 5, maybe 6. And the reason why this is important in recovery is it explains a couple of things. One, it explains why there is a need, a necessity to action mechanical eating, which means very often eating regardless of where you physically are on a fullness scale. So actually sometimes that definitely does look like eating when you feel physically full. And you think, I don't even want this dinner, I don't even want this start, I don't even fancy a snack right now. And you think, no, right, it's got to happen. This is why there's a need for that, because actually, both on a cognitive and a biological, sort of physiological level, an under-resourced system, an energy-deprived state, means that your body may not be in a place to be able to ask for all the things that it needs. That fullness may actually be a representation of your under-resourced GI system rather than what your body is actually needing. And that also leads me to the next bit, which is, this is why it's so important to pursue being satisfied rather than full. So what I mean by this is that place where you eat and you reach that point where, oh, Nora, don't knock it over. Nora's just jumped right behind the camera. That place where you get to and you think, I'm full, but you know that your brain is still rushing around with thoughts about food. And it's still thinking about what's in the cupboard and what you could have if you went there. And when you open your mind to, oh, okay, well, maybe I should honour that, suddenly it's like a cascade of food-related thoughts. And you think, oh, my goodness, but I'm full. How can this possibly be? Now, this is the point where you have to kind of remember this. I thought she was going to knock it over there. This like spectrum of where 0 to 10 and you're down here. And so this is the point. This is the point where you are feeling full. And your body is saying, we're not full, we're at 5, and we want to be at 12. So please keep giving me the food that I'm asking for. Listen to that mental hunger. And this, as I say, is why it's so important that you pursue physical and, most importantly, mental satisfaction, which is distinctly different from fullness. And I'll remind you again, that satisfied state is far more a mental state than a physical one. So I hope that has made some kind of sense. I wanted to come on and post something this week before I do my wedding Q&A. If you do have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. But I wanted to come on and share something, and I thought that this was something I find really, really helpful in recovery. It's a great concept, it's a really simple tool, and it does focus you on 2 very important areas recovery-wise, which is 1, focusing on paying attention to those broader ranges and shades of hunger. And 2, the need to pursue being satisfied and often to use mechanical eating tactics to move through fullness. So yeah, I hope that's helpful, and I look forward to speaking to you next week. Bye.